As an agent of change and a spiritual counselor, I see many people with all kinds of challenges, and most of these challenges come from wanting a situation to be different than it is. One of the books on my highly recommended book list is Loving What Is by Byron Katie, but another good choice that teaches the very same thing would be the best-selling 1913 novel Pollyanna by Eleanor H. Porter. This is now considered a classic of children's literature, with the title character's name becoming a popular term for someone with the same optimistic outlook as the protagonist. In fact, family and friends have called me Pollyanna lots of times. Our heroine is a young orphan who goes to live with her wealthy but not so happy and extremely strict Aunt Polly, who lives in a dispirited New England town. Pollyanna's philosophy of life centers on what she calls the glad game, an optimistic attitude she learned from her father. The game consists of finding something to be glad about in every situation. It originated one Christmas when Pollyanna, who was hoping for a doll, found only a pair of crutches in the missionary barrel. Seeing how disappointed she was, her father made up the glad game right then and there. He taught her to always look for the good side of things, no matter what. So what could possibly be good about getting a pair of crutches for Christmas when you didn't need them? Well, that was her father's exact point. Let's be glad, he said, because we don't need them. With this new way of thinking and her own sunny personality and unconditionally loving, compassionate soul, Pollyanna brings so much happiness and joy to her aunt's town that she transforms it into a pleasant place to live. By playing the glad game, Pollyanna transforms what most of us would consider unfair treatment into gifts. For example, when Aunt Polly puts her in a stuffy attic room with no pictures, no carpet, Pollyanna chooses to be grateful for the beautiful view from the attic window. And then there was the time when Aunt Polly was going to punish her because she was late for dinner, and she sent her into the kitchen for a meal of bread and milk with the servant Nancy. And Pollyanna genuinely and sincerely thanks her profusely because she likes bread and milk and she loves spending time with Nancy. Soon Pollyanna teaches some of the town's most sour and troubled inhabitants to play the glad game too. And although Aunt Polly resists the longest, finally she too succumbs to Pollyanna's refusal to be sad about anything, no matter how bad it may appear at first glance. However, even Pollyanna's optimism is put to the ultimate test when a car strikes her down as she crosses the street. At first, she doesn't understand the seriousness of her situation, even though she can't walk. However, when she accidentally overhears the doctors say that she'll never walk again, she reacts just as any of us would. Pollyanna is released from the hospital and she chooses to stay in bed and feel sorry for herself. She begins to focus on her inability to walk and thus is no longer playing the glad game. But then the townspeople start visiting her, and they tell her how much the glad game changed their lives and how much her encouragement has improved all of them. And then Pollyanna decides to look for something that she can be glad about, and she becomes glad that she's still alive and that she has legs. The novel ends with Pollyanna learning to walk again, and she's able to appreciate the use of her legs far more as a result of being temporarily disabled. I encourage each of you to join me in playing the glad game. When we focus on the positive, the light in our lives and in our world, we do change it. Being Pollyanna is a good thing. Instead of focusing on the one time our father beat us when we were young, let us be glad that he didn't sell us into sexual slavery, which happens so very often in many cultures. Instead of being critical of our neighborhood and our apartments and wanting a mansion or penthouse like the rich and famous, let us be glad that we have a good home filled with love and light, and that we're not living in a rubble-filled aftermath of a monsoon or earthquake. Instead of crying that our parents threw away our Barbie doll collection, which we had stored in their attic for 20 years and which might be worth some money now, let us be glad that we were gifted with them in the first place and for the pleasure they brought us as a child. We can find all kinds of things to be glad about if we just focus. So please join me in playing the glad game and watch your life transform.